Okay, hi guys. So, In Cold Blood is a lot different from the other books we've read. And it starts off by giving a reader, Jesus Christ, starts off by getting the reader an understanding of both the Clutter household and the criminals. Capote early on creates a lot of sympathy for the Clutter family. Like, you go into the novel knowing that they die, which already gives you sympathy for them. But, like, he just, like, takes it to the next level by like really like showing off how like ordinary and just like familiar and friendly they were, like how just like a normal family. He describes them in a way that makes it easy to imagine them in like even your neighborhood. Like he makes it like really easy to imagine them as members of any community in any period of time. Mr. Clutter, like the dad, he's described to be a very generous and understanding boss, with the example of the employee with the sick child. When the employee told Mr. Clutter that his child was sick, Mr. Clutter let him go home to like take care of his baby. Um, he's also seen as a devoted husband and father. He just wants to like provide for them and make sure they're happy and cared for. Mrs. Clutter discusses some of the things he used to buy for her, such as a small paper fan that she eventually gifted to, I forget what the girl's name is, but she gifted to like a neighbor girl. And that brings us to Mrs. Clutter, who's a very timid and shy woman, but she's also really compassionate and friendly and like well-meaning. Like, she tries her best to like fit in and socialize and come out of her shell. It was stated that although she was really like nervous, she had like a relaxing and calming voice. I really like her a lot. Like, I don't know, I really like Mrs. Clutter, and it was really hard to like read about her death. I don't know. Like, I didn't like thinking about the fact that she was gonna die just because of how like kind she was. Like, it's hard to think about anyone getting murdered. Like, that's just not a fun thought. But like especially her, like, and how timid and shy she was, it just like made it like that much harder. Because she was like a good woman, and the family didn't really deserve what they got. But besides like Mr. and Mrs. Clutter, there were three daughters. One was married, one was engaged, and the other one still lived with them. And then there was their son. And they were just like a normal family. Like, they fought, they loved each other, they made up. Like, you know. It kind of like really showcased how much we take things for granted. Like, it's really easy to just think that our lives could be normal and it'll never happen to us. But this book really just exemplifies on the fact that it can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It just, you can be murdered. And as previously stated, although I went into the book knowing that the Clutter family was going to die, once I started like reading it, I got like invested in the family. I got invested in them as characters. I kind of didn't want to keep reading because I didn't want to read about them dying. I don't like thinking about the kids dying. Like, I love true crime things. I watch a lot of true crime shows and true crime YouTube like channels. I think it's really interesting to learn about like especially like unsolved murders. But for some reason, like whenever children are involved, it's like that much harder to listen to. So like especially when you were getting so invested in like the children and like I don't know, I was like I don't want to read about these kids dying. Like, it just makes me like super emotional. I mean, of course, no one deserves to be murdered, but like children especially because they're young, like they haven't lived their life. Like, if you murder a child, in my opinion, I think you're like a whole separate kind of evil that like you just have no compassion. And then moving on though to Holcomb. I don't know. I can't pronounce the town name. This place really reminded me of my hometown. I'm from a place called Wernersville. It's like an hour or so from here. Wernersville is really, really small. Um, the only thing we have there that like people come to Warnersville for the Family Dollar, and that was only like built in like 2016. But yeah, there's a Family Dollar in Warnersville. And that's like the only reason people come to Warnersville. It's a really small town. Everyone knows each other. Like, I don't know everyone's name, but like if I saw them, I'd be like, oh, I know that person. They're cheating on their wife with that person. Like, everyone just knows everything. And like I've had random people come up to me and say stuff like, oh, Anna, like I heard your dog died. I'm so sorry. And I have no idea who they were, but they just somehow found out from word of mouth that my dog had died. So this place, like, I found a lot of parallels between this town and my town. Holcomb was a place that like no one thought such a heinous crime like murder could be committed, especially not to the Clutter family, because they were so well liked and well respected even by like employees. I think it said in the book that there's only one criticism of Mr. Clutter as an employer, and I think it was something like he wouldn't let them drink alcohol. I think that was the one criticism listed. But yeah, no one thought like a murder would take place. Everyone knew each other. If someone was like having like homicidal tendencies, everyone would know. Like everyone would like talk about it. But because it was committed by like outsiders, I think that just like also made it that much more hard for the people of Holcomb to react to the murder. So then with Dick and Perry, the murderers, they are both ex-convicts. One of them, Dick, he has like 2 ex-wives, but he's still in love with his first wife. I think he has like 2 kids. And then Perry, I don't think he was ever married. He's described as being, he has like funky legs, I guess. He has short legs, but whatever. They're very, Perry writes music and has his guitar, and Dick is very not about that. Like they fight a lot, and like they don't really seem to like each other that much. Although apparently Perry, I don't know if I misread it as like him like bragging and lying, but apparently he like killed someone and like was like bragging about how he murdered a colored man or whatever. And I read that, and then Dick found out, and he was like, oh yeah, I like that. And I'm just sitting here like, y'all are crazy. Like, I know they kill people, but like, whatever, I guess, go off. But yeah, so they end up trying to find like equipment to like rob these people, but they couldn't find their black stockings, so they go to like a nun hospital or something, but they still didn't find any black stockings. But then they go to like a gas station, and they start talking to the gas attendant, and they're like talking like, how much gas do we need to go from here to here? And the gas attendant's like, I don't know. And eventually they just keep asking him questions, and it's like pretty obvious that like the attendant's getting a little uncomfortable. He's feeling a little like, I don't know, like he could tell something was off about these 2 men. Not that it was hard, like they didn't really seem to act like 2 normal guys would be. Like they asked a lot of weird questions. They both looked weird. Like I think Dick has like a scar on his face, it said. So they both look like criminals. So it was obvious that like people were just uncomfortable around that. So Perry's background, he had a motorcycle accident, which is why his legs are like messed up. He really wants to like go to school or something and like become educated, but despite the fact that he's not formally educated, he considers himself to be really smart, and he considers himself to be a musical and like artistic person. His criminal record, I think, yeah, he murdered someone already. And yeah, I guess he just had like a weird upbringing that didn't really help him as an adult. And then Dick, as I said, he had 2 wives. He's still in love with the first one, apparently, he claims. He has 2 kids. He was jailed for, I think it was like forging checks or some kind of like faking documents, forging checks. Yeah, he talks really big. Like he's always talking about hurting people and like just being like a cruel person, but he doesn't seem to be as like brave and courageous as he claims to be. But yeah, they go on then. and they try to like steal money from the Clutter family, but then they quickly realize that there's not that much like money, that like he has it like not at the house. And so of course like the reasonable thing to do was just murder the entire family. Like why not? So, but then it goes on and they start like turning, I don't know, they like there was like foreshadowing. I meant to say this like earlier about the whole like black stalking. I think Perry really wanted them to have like black stockings over their face to like hide their identities, but Dick was like, no, we're not gonna get caught, like we'll be fine, there's no need to worry. And then like they do get caught, and it just kind of shows how like overconfident they were, like how they really thought they could get away with this, how they didn't think they were caught, they were like immune to the system. So I think, yeah, if you're overconfident about anything, you're really not going to succeed, and this is just like an example of that. But yeah, overall I really do like how this book is formatted, how it goes in between the point of views, and how the moods like very foreshadowing, and it just, I think this is a really well written book. You can definitely tell it's an older book, but it's also like easy enough to read, so you're not sitting there like having to spark note the whole thing. So, and I don't know, I think it is a really good book. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on part one. Not really, I don't know. I'm just, I knew they were gonna die, so I guess that took away part of the whole anticipation in reading it. So yeah.